Announcement for competitors. If you retire from the race, you must report to the nearest checkpoint and then to the rescue control back here at...
They call it the Marathon with Mountains, and it's arguably the most iconic fell race in the country, but it wasn't until last year I got to experience firsthand what makes the Yorkshire Three Peaks so special. Standing on that start line, there's a real feel of togetherness and camaraderie. As the gun goes off, the roar of the crowd and the stampede of feet up Pen-y-Ghent sets your hairs on end. Then ascending Whernside, you can hear cowbells guiding you through the mist. It's a race that creates memories and stories. My personal story from last year was a real journey. A failed ballet dancer who piled on the pounds and years later got the shock of his life walking on the Yorkshire Three Peaks for charity. It took me 11 hours to get around the course that day, and I could not believe a friend who'd said fell runners do it in under 5, 4 or even 3 hours. I was inspired and motivated and promised myself I was gonna get fit and come back to do the race itself. This journey ended in September, where we finished the course in 3 hours and 39 minutes. I was over the moon to achieve my goal, especially considering where we'd come from, but I was also curious and I couldn't help but wonder, how fast can I actually go? And that is what 2022's story is all about. Training began as soon as the race had finished, and I targeted my flat speed as the main weakness. We had a solid 6 months. My times were through the floor, but all great stories are never linear, and this one is no different. Unfortunately, I fell over putting the bins out, bashed my knee up pretty bad, and this left me on the sidelines for 5 weeks. I lost most of my fitness, and with only 6 weeks left till race day, it was a mad rush to gain as much of the hard work back as I could. It's the 23rd of March and I'm just out on the North York Moors. This is the longest run I've done for about 5 weeks now. The knee really has knackered me up. It's only just started getting better over the last week or two, allowing me to do some hill reps once a week, and I'm hoping next week I can really kick back on again with the plan, but I really do fear we've kind of lost all that speed work that we built up over the last 6 months. So I'm going to hit the hills, we're going to hit the Three Peaks course as well at least once, and just hope that the fitness comes back, because right now the legs feel fine, there's no issues there, but my cardio is absolutely shocking. So we're 3 weeks out from the Three Peaks and I'm just wrecking the course today. This is the climb up Pen-y-Ghent, the first one, which I'm attempting to do at race effort, just to see what the legs have got. In September, I got to the top of Pen-y-Ghent in about 34 minutes, so it'll be interesting to see where the fitness is at today. Well, this is the top of Pen-y-Ghent. It's about 34.5 minutes, so a little bit slower than I was in September, but we've got more training in the legs, not as well drilled as we've already mentioned. You can tell that that fitness is just lacking slightly, but I've got another week and a half of real purposeful hill work, longer sessions, so hopefully it all comes together on race day. Not quite sure what to expect, to be honest, but I'm just going to enjoy today's recce with some easier running now, because it's not very often you get out onto the Three Peaks and you get views like this. Absolutely stunning up here today. We're 2 weeks out from the Three Peaks now, guys. It's all come together really nicely. The hill work's starting to kick in. I'm feeling that speed come back in my easier runs, and we're out on this last long run. 2 weeks today is the race itself, so I'm trying to get some big climbs, test out the gear that Innovate have kindly sent me just to see what the best configuration is, test out the shoes, and get some more hill reps in. As you can see, some gorgeous climbs behind me. I just wanted to talk really quickly on gear that I'm going to be using on the day. I've got the 260s on, the new Innovate Ultra shoe. It's got really good stud depth very comfortable, so I'm going to wear that if it's a muddy or a claggy day. I really do like the Innovate G270s, the Terra Ultras as they used to call them. They're now called the Trailfly, so I'm going to go for that if it's a drier day. As for the pack, this is their Ultra pack and it's fantastic. You've got two options for storage. I can put the bottles in here and have straws coming up. That's what I'm going to do on race day, because I found putting the bottles in the top pockets here can be a little bit fiddly to get in and out. I'm about halfway through this run, another 7 or 8 miles of long climbing, hard efforts to go, and then that's it. We're all ready to go for race day. All good training plans should be about the long-term development and a progressive build-up towards race day. It's because of this I don't really know what we lost through the injury and what I managed to gain back over the last 6 weeks. But I've done all I can, so all that's left to do is see what the morning brings.
Her alarm goes off and she gets up to watch the morning news. Doesn't work no more but tells a lot of stories about her youth. Drinks more lately, ain't got pills in many different colors too. Morning light is showing, she moves the chair to look out at her view. But her shop was built right across the street, and it stands where the sunrise used to be. In the afternoons on the couch to read, goes through old pictures and memories. Our heroes have been forgotten, our heroes so brave and bold. Our heroes have been forgotten, our heroes so they...
Best of luck to all competitors, enjoy your run, enjoy being out in Yorkshire. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, off you go. Off you go everybody, good luck everybody, enjoy the race, enjoy your attempt at the marathon with mountains.
So with the race underway, I tried to settle into a rhythm and not get too carried away with the atmosphere. So many people go out too fast on the road section and run the race before they even get started. It was a glorious day and maybe a little too warm for me personally. My stomach seemed to be having a few issues on the ascent of Pen-y-Ghent and my legs lacked that little bit of bounce I'd have preferred to have, but I just tried to enjoy the views and put this to the back of my head. Pen-y-Ghent is a strange climb. It's hard to stay disciplined and power hike where it's more efficient because the whole way feels so runnable. With the weather so great, we could see the summit from the start and see the hordes of runners coming up behind us. I reached the top in 36 minutes, left me 2.5 minutes behind last year's time, but I think the start was slightly shorter last year with the change of course, so I decided to put this to the back of my head and try to focus on what I call the marathon section up to Ribblehead. The next few miles are mostly fast descending and it's important to really kick on here. There are a few technical sections, but the whole 8 miles to Ribblehead is just fast running. I remember feeling fantastic on this part of the course last year, but I found it quite hard work this time round, so I got a few gels on board, made sure I kept up with my hydration, and it was lovely to chat with some competitors on the course who recognised me from the channel. Not to mention the support on course in general gave me a real boost. We got to Ribblehead Viaduct in 1 hour and 32 minutes. This was now almost 3 minutes behind last year's time, and it left me wondering if this wasn't going to be my day. But I do remember last year going up to Whernside was real tough going, so there could have been some time to make up.
Shit, mate. Alright, you're doing alright? Do you want any water and gel?
Need my gels, pal.
Yeah, alright, doing only a couple of minutes off it. It's not in that world. Might put you in better stead going up Whernside, mightn't it?
Just been off it from the start, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
Just feel, don't know what it is.
Alright, just relax and enjoy this next bit then.
Off the pace, mate, but...
Gels?
Yeah, they got the other one.
You alright?
Not really, mate. Just feel like shit.
Well, you got a totally different bit coming up now anyway.
Yeah, I'll just take these, mate.
Yeah, alright, you take with me. Yeah, alright,
Good luck,
see you in a
All
bit.
fueled up, I headed towards Whernside, which is a complete contrast to the previous 10 miles. You climb through untouched private farmland, which is a real fell running experience. It's very soft and hard going underfoot, not to mention the amount of bogs, one of which we went thigh deep into. It's quite funny though, because Whernside acts as a noise funnel, so even 5-10 minutes after I went through the bog, I could hear people squelching through the same one, making the same groans as I did. This cheered me up a little bit until I could see the summit and the final climb. This last section is hands and knees. It's really tough going. It's the reason people say the race doesn't begin until after Whernside, because if you spend yourself before it, cramp is sure to settle in. We reached the summit 3.5 minutes shy of October's time, and I was feeling much worse. Now was not the time to dwell though, because the conditions were dry, so there could have been some time to make up on the descent. So I set straight at it and kicked on. The descent of Whernside is awful in any conditions, and with the good weather being out, we had a lot of obstacles and more walkers than normal. I just tried to get my feet moving, get a few more gels down to get the energy back, but in all reality, my legs just were not functioning as I'd have expected. And by the time I hit the road section, I started thinking about why I actually entered the race in the first place, what I wanted from it, and why I was even doing the event. By the time I came to Philpin Lane at mile 16.5, I'd made my decision to retire. We were now 6.5 minutes off the pace, and I was feeling much worse than last year.
Cheers. Nah, I'm done, mate.
Quitting does not come easy to me, and that's why making the decision to drop out was so difficult, but I had to be sensible and recognise that's not what this was about. There was nothing to be gained. I wasn't going to get the time I was going for. I wouldn't have been happy with just finishing the race in under 4 hours, which I could have easily done. Best to save my legs. There's no point in risking injury in those last 7 miles, which is very possible going up and down Inglebrough, and also no point in adding 2 to 3 weeks worth of recovery onto the back end of the race. But the big question is, what actually happened? Why was I so much worse off this time round in October when actually I'm better trained and fitter than I've ever been? I think it could have been one or all of 3 things. The first one is I made the decision in the last couple of weeks to stop racing for a while, take a break. I don't know whether this mentality got to me and maybe affected things slightly. I don't think it was that though, it felt more physical than that. I've been around a lot of sick people over the last couple of weeks, fighting off bugs. Whether my immune system was carrying something and fighting something off, who knows? And also the heat as well. That definitely did get to me, and I felt it throughout the course. So very disappointed, naturally, to have to pull out. It's not something I've ever done before, not something I like to do, but I do think I made the right decision. Great work from all the marshals as always. Thank you so much to Nick for his support on the day, and Jason Cavill for all the coaching, and especially to all you guys who are out there on the course and competing that took the time to say hello and have a quick chat with me. That was actually my favourite part of the whole day. So that was my experience from the 2022 Yorkshire Three Peaks. Not the greatest one, not the way I'd have wanted it to end, but we live and learn, and there's always something to take away from every race. I'll catch you all later.